will drop.
Just keep it painted.
And the cement work seems to be the only issue on this, because even though this is accumulating debris, it hasn't dropped any of these treads yet. But you leave it long enough, she will. Okay? This is the rear facing fire escape. Again, we're going to, got debris, cement, all this is all cracked cement. Got too many chains here. You only need the top chain, you don't need the bottom chain. And you only need one chain. A lot of times you don't need it. This is the law that requires just that. So they might have put in these extras, but it's got to be single action requiring no special knowledge. This piece here this won't even turn. I'm trying to turn it. It won't even turn, and it's missing its cap. So obviously if the fireman tried to use this, she'll start either leaking out of there, or I don't know if it's on or off. And again, cement work down there. This doesn't even roll. This is frozen here, and this is what you have to use to lift out so that this thing drops. And again, I can try to lift it here. See if it'll move. She won't. She's frozen. She'll wiggle, but she won't go up or down. So that's a life safety concern. Got some pieces of debris left over. Cement cracked. It's all cement cracked. Okay, same thing. And then obviously there's a way out on either side. So fire escape does not pass inspection. Any questions, fire escape engineers? 866-649-0333. Does not pass the 1 year, does not pass the 5 year.
I think the customers would have a heart attack.
It's too expensive.
Or maybe he's going to sell it. He's going to say it's too much trouble. I'm going to sell my building.
Yeah. Then they shouldn't be in the real estate business. So with that, this is the first 2 hours, and we're about to get into the heavy meat stuff now. So we're going to take a 15-minute break. Some of you need to make phone calls. Some of you, but what time is it now?
11:30. 11:30.
11:30? Quarter up? So you guys can go, don't forget, you need the card if you're going to use the bathrooms. You need to make phone calls, you can do wherever. There's still some more coffee. Don't forget, at lunchtime, there's going to be some lunch boxes. I'm sorry, at 1 o'clock there's going to be lunch boxes. I just got to confirm. So, Alan, if you want to just confirm with Carlos that at 1 o'clock, that's when the lunch boxes should be outside. And then, but as you can see now, the next step is really getting into the meat of this inspection side of it, because how many of you kind of cringed a little bit on some of the stuff that a 5 year would have normally done? So let's open that up for conversation and see if John has if anybody has any questions for John. Or John, if you want to make a comment.
This is going to take effect immediately?
No. And again, that's what I was going to talk about. What Cisco is talking about, great stuff. This is not law. This is not an ordinance in the city of Los Angeles. Not even adopted by the state of California. So everybody just kind of relax. The code, it does specify structural adequacy is what the code says. What does the word adequacy mean? Does that ladder is it performing for what it's supposed to do? That's what you guys are looking at, right? Yes. When you're out there, you're walking the thing, checking everything that we do. So per the code, absolutely, we're making sure that thing works. Cisco's going way beyond that, which is awesome. I mean, I like it. But again, this is not code. This is not going to change something. This is something, I mean, if we're going to do a 5 year structural thing, believe me, that's way above my head. This is something that's got to go to the city council and Beaumont. I mean, you can imagine what the public would just, it's a nice thing. I definitely like it. I think it's a good way to check things. Have we had incidents in the city of Los Angeles with fire escapes? Has anybody, none that I know of, at least in my 36 years, anything frozen? I mean, besides that stuff, yeah, absolutely. Things that don't work. But back east, different weather, conditions, we can see as far as maintenance, who looks at them, do they ever look at them? Thank God, at least LA, at least we have this Red 4 program. You guys are looking at them every year. If something happens, like I always tell when I go to the testing, something doesn't drop right, if that thing is short, if it's 6 feet in the air, it's not dropping. God, I hope you guys are calling somebody or waiting there, calling the fire station, calling the Reg 4 unit, give me a call, or call whoever the inspector is for the building. You guys know the right thing to do. I don't care what those 18 systems are. I hope you're doing the right thing and letting us know, because We need to either put a fire watch on someone or get a company out there and do the right thing. So don't do the wrong thing. We're on the same team.
Yeah, there's also a section 5 on the.
Absolutely. Good point. Yeah, thank you for that. Section 5 always, if you guys see something that's, you know what, John, I'm not sure about it. You know how it is. I got a exit sign, a fire escape sign that's not right. You know what, I got a couple of treads here that are loose or, yeah, that's a fail. And I would definitely give us a call, let the inspector know that, hey, let us make that call, you know? And
Bank is
yeah, and no, because that's what I was just learning right now. Where does it say paint? It doesn't. It's in the up to the local jurisdiction. Everything is interpretation, right? Pasadena Fire may say, nope, John, the word maintains mean it has to be painted. LA City may say something different. He's an inspector in another unit, it means something different. So that's what the code is always, it's not black and white. It says this, but it's to the interpretation. If you would look up 1104 of the LA Fire Code, if you really read it, it says you do a structural adequacy test or something that's approved by the fire official. Okay, that's us. We have a Rec 4 program, so at least we're abiding by that ordinance. That is the LA City, that's how we do it. State of California, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, same verbiage. We adopt that. And again, I'm pretty sure, 99% sure that the state of California hasn't adopted this, but it's in the code for the cities that want to pick that up. If they want to say, hey, there's a 5-year, absolutely you can do it. Again, I think it's a neat idea. Load testing, that's another one where they're doing cement bags and all
water
that.
bags, cables. We'll get into that next.
And that's kind of interesting. What's our load test? What does the code say? Dead load plus how much of live load? 100 pounds?
Right.
So when you guys are walking that, are you you're doing what you're supposed to? Is that acceptable to us? Absolutely. I'm 200 pounds, and if I'm walking that thing, believe me, I'm putting a load test on that, right? I'm doing a live test on that. These guys do some awesome testing where they're dropping bags. Now, my question is, when you drop a bag and you break some stairs or something, what happens from there? Now it's like, you know what, you better call the fire department because, yeah, this thing failed. This is a required exit. We were doing our test, and now, you know.
But just so you know, there's no dropping it back there. If we're doing 1,000 pounds, we're supposed to load test 40% of it, and you put it on gently. And again, we'll show you the process.
Yeah.
So there's 400 pounds that go on it. You watch that for 30 minutes, you take measurements before, during, and after. Because it didn't deflect and nothing gave way, and by the way, the only reason I'm load testing is because I have proof that there's no internal rust in any of the connections I'm load testing. I cannot load test connections that have rust in them, not allowed.
Yeah.
So the chances of failure, I'm already eliminated the chances of failure because even if I was to drop something on it,
You could tell already that.
but then I put the other 600 pounds on it, then I'm forced to measure before, during, and after 3 times. So usually tests run anywhere from a half hour to an hour. Or take out all the fasteners, there is no load test. Because now if there is a failure, it's a product failure. The bolt sheared because it was a bad bolt. That's an act of God. So that's where the piece comes in. On the city, and this is where it is, there's a black and white that the city wants. The city's got their ordinances, so this has been a problem for 50 to 75 years. We're not going to fix it in 5 to 10 days. This could take 3 to 5 years to sort of work its way through. But just so you're aware, there's going to be different people that are going to be speaking with you and asking you for certain things that Reg 4 is not currently requiring, or the state is not currently requiring. But insurance companies are going to get you into a gray area, and you don't want to play in the gray. And so you just always work with John. The best thing you can ever do is over-communicate back this way, because at least the city side of it, you've done your part. So if there is an incident and you've over-communicated with Reg 4, guess what? You're in a better place because that's the guide, and then you're doing to within what you're required by law. And then there's also this other side that John is not aware of, and that's the insurance company coming down, I don't care. You know, that's a state situation that says, I don't care. There's OSHA things that are coming in, and I don't care. You know, well, well, guess who gets caught in the crossfire? So if you guys want to keep your head down, the more you inform him, the more you know about what's out there, you can just stay out of harm's way, because sadly, what you don't want, and that's why I was using this one inspection in Culver City to give you an example, is that sometimes a fire escape, you're walking in with like a horse with blinders on, and you inspect what you think is only what you needed to inspect, whereas if you just take those off, you need to inspect what you have to inspect, which is it ready for its intended use, which is what the city's saying. But if there's anything out of the ordinary, it triggers a 5. Not that because he said so, it's because I said so. Because a 5 is what the rest of the country's doing. Don't forget, California only put it onto the books. They adopted it in 2016, the 2015 code, but didn't implement it until 2017, and here we are in 2018, almost 2019. So you're just saying, you're in an advanced class to basically say, others in your field are not here to listen, you know what I'm saying, but you are here to say, okay, I'm going to continue doing the best practices, I'm going to over-communicate, I'm going to know what's ahead of me so I don't step into and bump my head into anything that could hurt me in the future, and that's where all of a sudden now you're going to have a good balance, and the main thing is stay out of court.
I mean,
That's what happens.
someday,
Somebody
if
gets
you
hurt,
do-
you go to court.
if you do hear, hey, LA's gonna do a 5-year, now you guys are kind of educated, just as I, that you know what a 5-year is gonna entail, they're gonna show you some more. And I hope to God that, you know, the photos that we saw in the beginning, rust everywhere, and man, I hope you guys are gonna write that stuff up and let me know. You know, if not, I'm doing a horrible job, even though I've only been here for less than 2 years, but it's just common sense what we're looking at. And I know most of you got certified through Darrell, but when you're seeing those things, and yeah, paint would have been fantastic, but when you're seeing those and you're walking them, and something happens, you guys are gonna do the right thing. Absolutely fail it, give us a call, let somebody know, hey, John, a couple of stairs, or I'm not sure about it, or call us out, and then we'll make the decision of what we gotta go for, so.
Sometimes in a legal sense too, that's what we're looking at, like.
Sure.
Like you said maintenance, I mean, we've done expert witness cases where, you know, there is the question, why did it the code?
Right,
Well,
yeah.
as an architect that I've designed other things, I have a client that they say, look, we want you to build the code, but you go above and beyond for safety, any kind
Yeah.
of safety. And even things like, we'll have some, like a chair that's against a 42-inch high rail, you know, we call that. Now, it doesn't say that in the code,
Nope.
but we want to protect ourselves, so that's a
If
lot of.
I just want to make one comment just before he leaves, and then I'll take your question. The first thing that we really like every city to do is start to tag the fire escape system. So when you get to these fire escapes, it's one thing to notify him, but it's another to notify the general public, the tenants in the building, and his firemen that may be showing up at that building. So it's not required yet, but every city that's starting to move on these programs, the first thing they want to do is put up a visible tag, and I'll show you what it looks like. These things are 8.5 by 11, permanently attached to the fire escape, 7 to 10 feet off the ground, so that if you get there and there's a danger situation, you leave a red tag. It's not required yet, so this is what's supposed to be. Because now, not only is there a phone call to the fire department and everybody's going to do whatever they normally do, but now, if that thing sits for a month or 10 months, there's a red tag on it and you can't remove it by the order of the fire marshal. If it's a repair, meaning it's still functional because you deemed it functional, or they did emergency repairs to it to make it functional, but it still needs a repair because it's not certifiable, that's functional, the owner takes all the liability. In the yellow, the tenants can use it because it's being repaired as quickly as possible. The fireman can use it, but if anybody does get hurt on the yellow, the liability belongs to the owner. When it goes to white, now this is what he's trying to get back to. He wants to get back to that every one of his fire trucks shows up at any alleyway and he looks up at this building and there's a screaming baby on the 3rd floor with a mom, and he doesn't have to go running back for a 25-foot ladder. He just gets on this thing, he climbs up because he sees a white tag on him. That's the thing. So awareness is the step one. So way before we get the check boxes and the lists and all this thing, if we can get the city just to allow the Reg 4 guys, you guys have a tagging system, you tag out sprinklers and alarms, right?
Yes.
And it's already a fire.
It's not a heavy push on our end, but when they do, there's a couple situations that are, you know.
Right, but
anyways.
there's a tagging, we would love to get, because it's already in the fire code, to tag out a system. So we'd love to talk to you. That's sort of the first thing that gets everybody aware, from the firemen to the tenants to the pedestrians to the owners, that there's something, there's a condition on this fire escape, it's either red, yellow, or white. And I'll let you wrap up with whatever.
I hope that our annual testing is, at least, we have that for now, this is what we have, we've had that for a year, so. As a firefighter, we throw ladders to every fire escape, period. We don't know if it's been Reg 4, if it's up to date, regardless, ladders go up automatically. It's just something that we train on all the time, so just know that all the testing that you do, we take it very seriously. As a rookie, we train, and sometimes ladders are on the hills and this, and we train it all the time, and it's automatic. So, anybody else have any questions? This is really good, I appreciate it, but again, we're not going crazy, this is just information, this is strictly information.
I want to say too, as far as what I'm doing, I mean, we are introducing you guys to what could happen in LA.
Sure.
I'm based in Simi Valley, I don't do a lot of inspections in LA, but other cities are. I'm going up to San Francisco every other week to do inspections because they're requiring it. Or I'm going to San Diego. And again, it's hard to see fire escapes that aren't safe and not do anything about it. So that's
These guys are our eyes. I mean, all the Reg 4s, thank God.
And we're not criticizing what Reg 4 is, even, what you say, we're not criticizing what you guys are doing because you're doing the job that you're supposed to be doing.
At least they're out there.
It's just that when it gets to the point where, and I know what you're saying, John, with, you're seeing the rust, and I know that a lot of that is East Coast, but you get to some of the fire escapes by the coast where you're getting salt, and you are starting to see that. It does happen, it does happen.
And it could be something as easy as, even if you did say, hey, on the section 5, or maybe you do feel, they said, you know what, John, this thing could use some paint. Can we write that? Absolutely, absolutely. The maintenance, I call, our guys who do the buildings, we call them maintenance inspectors, the inspector ones. Absolutely, they can write a notice, piece of cake. And you know what, it's going to cost some bucks, but when you see pictures like this, and I see them, I think, heck yeah, that thing needs some attention. That's an easy one. It may not have to do that the 5-year, but it's something that, it definitely needs to be addressed.
Sometimes too, the fire escapes are galvanized. They may not need to be painted. So, we can, when we inspect it, we say, it's got paint, but it's also galvanized. We'll say, sometimes the galvanization will, run out of its usefulness. We'll say, maybe it's time to paint it now. So, these are all the things that we, have inspecting, and you guys have done it too, but we've inspected hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fire escapes all over the country.
All right, there's another person over there. Are they just pointing to the sky?
Oh, we're doing sprinklers now?
We're doing sprinklers.
I like you. I like it. Learn something every day, it's all
There was a number that you kept saying at the end, now is that to call for questions for?
No, that's just our company. We do, I'm not only the founder of the National Fire Escape Association, I'm also the founder of Fire Escape Engineers. And I also have a separate company called Fire Escape Services. So Fire Escape Engineers can only inspect and certify and load test fire escapes. Separately insured, licensed, blah, blah, blah. Fire Escape Services is a network of vendors all over the country that basically can repair the existing fire escapes. And they have to be separately insured, separately owned, you know what I'm saying? So before, in the past, used to be one. Guess when I found out you couldn't do one, you can do it all. When there was a lawsuit, and the lawsuit tells you. So in some of the things you do, be aware that you're inspecting and you're also repairing. You might have to, I'm not telling you what to do, but you might have to speak with your lawyer and your insurance company and say, you might have to have a B division, which is, it can all be in-house, but it's a B division that inspections, repairs, and everybody's separate. Workers are separated, workers' comp, and liabilities, and insurance, all separate. We went through in a situation that we're basically set up to do that activity. So every time I call and I say, if you have any questions, because a lot of times the vendors get to see this. This is an initial examination. This is not even an engineer oversight. It's just an initial examination that says, we tell you what the problems are, not where they are and how many exist. That's a full-blown engineer oversight of the whole system. And that is a detailed report of what needs to be fixed. For the vendor, which could be Joe Ironworks, could be Billy Bob Welder, but it's never Johnny the janitor, you know what I'm saying? That's the sad thing, because the owners will put the Johnny the janitor with a paint bucket, and that's just, in California, especially in LA, a majority of them are painted. But paint is not structural. So once in a while, you get these unpainted fire escapes that are also not structural, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why I wanted to show you that third one. That third one had structural issues, but they painted it. Because they wanted you to go by and say, oh, it looks good, and they want because that's the thing. If it's well painted, you guys kind of ease up on your inspection. Because it's almost like a fake 5-year. Oh, paint it, because they're not going to look as hard. But if you get there and she's a dirty brown, they're like, oh, let me look at this, because you're going to be more investigative. So they paint it. So a majority of your fire escapes are painted. But sadly, they're painting over rust, they're painting over, and I can lift, tread, clip, I can just lift all kinds of things. They're not really checking the cement and stuff like that. So we're just trying to get everybody to sort of understand that whenever you feel that there's a structural issue with that, not only you speak with John, and it's above your head, get a third-party inspector.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About the errors and omissions, you said if you're working 2.5 or higher.
No, errors and omissions is for an inspection side.
Oh, that's
It's
for
not
the
for,
5 year.
it's,
But if I.
no, it's for a 1 year or a 5 year, but it's basically for an inspector or a tester.
Yeah.
It's like having the doctors has errors and omissions insurance,
Right.
lawyers have errors and omissions insurance. So it has nothing to do with the actual work. It's that somebody missed something. So if he misses something and somebody gets hurt, the errors and omissions is an additional insurance above and beyond liability insurance that says, oh, he was blind that day, what happened? Was he wearing his eye patch,
That's umbrella, basically.
That's an umbrella, yeah, it's called. Errors and omissions insurance, doctors have it, lawyers have it, and fire escape, we're one of the few that have this errors, because every now and then, we can miss something too.
Like if you find the if you find the landing, C-16 contractor can replace that. You don't need, some specialty.
You do, that's a great point.
I want to know what I do, because I
He has to be
run into this
told.
all the time,
So, yes,
You gotta fix it,
and what happens is, that's where the problem is. So, in a 5-year inspection, it starts within an inspection, which is not the vendor. The inspection says, I found a problem. Let me write up 10 things you gotta do. That owner takes that, puts it out to bid and gets 3 bids, and everybody gets this 10-point list. They pick a vendor. This vendor says, I gotta do these 10 things. And others, if he finds it, because he may cooperate with the architect and say, hey, I didn't find 10, I found 12. You should fix it. Because the 10 is a guideline, but you own, as a vendor, you own everything that he saw and didn't see. Because you're on it for 2 weeks. He's on it for 20 minutes or 2 hours, whatever, you understand? The engineer oversight includes 3 visits. So when the contractor starts, he shows up that day or the day later. As the contractor's there working, says, hey, how's it going? Changing all the bolts like the way I want, I can specify on my piece. Then he does a secondary visit, a mid visit, which is a surprise visit. He doesn't even know he's coming. Because as he repairs everything, he leaves it primed and sealed. Can he final paint it yet?
No, he has to
No,
look at it.
because he has to look at it. So now this fire escape is it's all black, it's starting to have brown spots all over it. For who? For him? For you? Or for him? For the inspector. Then he does a final inspection on the fire escape, and he signs a certificate, and either to proceed to the load test, or it's going to be no load test because they changed all the bolts. He gives that copy to you. You guys send it in to John. John says, what is this, a 1 year or a 5 year? This is a 5 year. Did it include already any ladders or any testing of all the pieces? Yeah, it's already including a 1 year. So this fire escape will continuously have a 1 year every year. Except every 5th year, the 1 year is a 5 year. Because it's given a full structural. Then,
So why not have a 5 year instead of a 1 year?
no, there's reason to have the 1 years. Because if you do a 5 year, that's an overall of the whole structure. It's like a sprinkler system.
So you're saying every 5 years, he has to come out and do a 5 year?
Do a 5 year. So that every year after that, you're doing your 1 year. Because you're doing a test. You're not inspecting, you're testing the assemblies. You're a fire escape assemblies tester. You're not an inspector. They won't let you use the word inspector.
No,
You're a
we're
tester.
We're only testing the equipment.
So walk it from the roof, climb up and over, walk it all the way down, release it, get out to a public way, and send the information back to him.
That's what we were saying in San Francisco, they have companies that, they go out every year, and they're testing the ladders
Only.
and maintaining the ladders. So they'll-
Only.
Right, but they'll, grease the ladders, so you know that every year those ladders.
They put a
lot
little
of times
sticker on
when when I go out there, it's hard it's not always easy to test these ladders, but if I see, Mazzy did his inspection back in November, all he's doing is the ladder.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that ladder is in good order.
All equipment, we just don't expect.
Any good, Kurt?
Ask away number. So I keep it.
Everybody grab his number.
My department cell phone is 213-264-9845.
We want to thank John
Hasta luego.
for coming down, guys.
Oh, my pleasure. Glad to
A
be
little
here.
round of applause. He's got a hard job, harder than all of us.
Again, like I always say, no BS, we're all on the same team, so believe me, you guys are gold to us.
We're gonna take a
Thank you.
15-minute break, guys. Make your phone calls, see you back here. The good beefy stuff is starting next. More coffee,
Okay, you guys.
drinks, there's more pastries here. Box lunches at 1 o'clock.
Had somebody call and just close I said, oh, well, my pleasure, thanks for having me.
Ela passou uma luz assim, vermelho. Ela
Oh, yeah.
tá ligado direto, mas não tem nego bateria aí.
It's gonna be a lot.